The first 24 hours of a contract are crucial. Let's talk about it. Welcome back to Transaction Care. My name is Lillian Hernandez, but you can call me Lily, like the flower, because we are learning and growing together. And in this conversation, we're talking about the importance of a contract and what to do when you get in contract, whether you're a realtor, escrow, lenders, buyers, sellers, but most importantly, transaction coordinators. Because the first 24 hours are very important in terms of communication. What are the terms? What are the agreements? Because those are going to dictate the next day or few days or weeks ahead for us with this specific contract. And if you're managing multiple contracts at once, maybe these tips will help you be more efficient, help manage your time, and enjoy the process a little bit more. So, you ready? Let's go. So whether you're a beginner or an expert, learning the contract is so important. You definitely want to take time, especially if you're in a city or a county or a state where the contract gets updated pretty frequently. I'm based in California, San Francisco, California to be exact, and we update our contracts pretty frequently. I would say annually, but if it's urgent, every 6 months. So things are getting rearranged, jargon is changing. So when you're learning said contract, if you're brand new, ask a realtor in your neighborhood for a copy of that residential contract and learn it. And if you've been in this industry, make sure you're going through the changes, talking to people that are in charge at the departments so you can understand what changed and you can apply that to your business. So when you get the contract, what are you learning? Let me break it down. So number one, you want to know where important information is located. You don't want to just get a contract and be guessing every single time, wasting 30 minutes when you can spend 5 to 10 minutes reading and scanning through the most important details of the contract. Okay? Because again, time is of the essence here, and we don't want to waste any time when we can get more efficient and understand and know exactly where things are located, where the language exists, etc., etc. Which brings me to my next point. The language and jargon. So you want to learn the language and the jargon because it's a contract. It's a legal document. And there are terms that are used that will be used regularly within real estate. But if you're just a regular person outside of real estate that has never experienced a contract or read a contract, the legalese is very confusing at times. So the more you read it, scan through it, and have these conversations, you'll be in these rooms, you'll be in these emails, you'll understand exactly what they're discussing or what they're referring to in said contract, okay? So that's another point that's important. Thirdly, you want to learn what you don't know. Going back to the jargon, going back to what's important, you may read it and say, okay, I got it, I read it, now what? I understood this, but I didn't understand this. So that's where you take some notes and you go back. You put the effort in. You don't want to just skip through some things you don't know, because then you don't learn, okay? So the point of this exercise is to learn the contract, and the areas that you don't know, it's okay. Google is your friend. Your realtors are your friends. I'm your friend here in this industry. So definitely take advantage of what you don't know, because that's where the learning really begins, is taking time to put in the effort to learn the areas that are either confusing, unclear, or don't make sense until you actually apply it in the real world. So don't feel the pressure to learn everything right out the gate or to have everything perfectly buttoned up, perfectly packaged. No, because you're just getting started. And if you've been doing this, you know what I'm talking about. We don't have to know everything. We just need to know enough to get to the next step. Okay? Because in real estate, things change overnight. Clients back out the day before closing. That can happen. Clients decide, I don't want to sell my home anymore. I changed my mind, and you just spent all this money on staging and inspection. So not to mention, no one gets paid. So things can happen at any given moment. Our goal is to just manage each step as they come. And if you can anticipate a few things and help people to avoid a few fires ahead of time, then even better. So going back to what I said about the important information on a contract, what are the important parts of a contract? So again, we're still in the 24-hour stage of getting a ratified contract. These are the things you want to look out for as soon as you get that contract, because You're not always getting everything that first day. You may not get any signed disclosures. You may not get an agent inspection. You may not get any new home inspections. So what you get that first 24 hours is what you're working with. And then you can send all your email requests after. But what are the most important parts of a contract? So of course, after you check to make sure the correct buyer's names and seller's names are on there, you verify the property address, then this is what you want to look for. You want to look for your purchase price, your deposit due date, contingency removal dates or waivers, home warranty or waiver, commissions, because that's important. That determines who's paying what, how much is getting dispersed, all of that. And usually it's in the form of a percentage, but sometimes it's in the form of a price, a dollar sign. So you want to make sure you know where these features are at on the contract. Then you also want to look for any notes with additional terms, agreements that are stated within the contract. Like, we will purchase the home as well as the fridge, the couch, things of that nature. Or subject to the seller crediting the buyer XYZ. Or maybe there are counter offers, addenda that will change some of the terms that are in the original contract. And there are little boxes typically in these contracts that say, this contract is ratified subject to counter offer number 1, subject to addendum 1 to the purchase contract. So it's vital that you know where these boxes are, where these terms are, where these blanks are going to be filled in, so you're not just winging it every single time. And of course, last but not least, your close of escrow date. Now, of course, this is on a very basic level. These are the things you want to look for when you're scanning a contract, you're reading a contract for every single transaction. Now, of course, if you feel like I forgot something, just remember, this is on a very basic level. Every contract is going to have their nuances and their differences, and every brokerage may have different nuances and differences. So if you feel like I missed something or you want to expound on something I'm discussing here, drop a comment. I welcome people to drop feedback, comments, thoughts, opinions. It's an open forum in the comments. Of course, I have the option to delete, filter, etc. But I welcome all of you to share your thoughts, share your opinions. Correct me if I'm wrong as well, because sometimes I'm talking, I have my reference point beside me. So I definitely want to make sure I'm giving you guys as much information as possible. But also, things evolve, things change, and I might not be as up to date with it all because maybe it's happening while I'm recording this video. So if you find that I've left anything off this list, then definitely leave a comment. But either way, the goal is to save a TC. Some headaches, some torture, suffering, to not have to feel the burden or the pressure to know everything or do everything. But on a very basic level, if you can keep track of these items, you'll be in good shape. Then after this, you want to open your file and open escrow. Now, of course, I know many of you also use or are located in an attorney state. So you definitely want to consider what the attorney does. I work in an escrow state here in California, so I'm not going to speak on something I'm not familiar with. Please do your own due diligence and research. So for those that do work in states that use an attorney instead of an escrow company, drop it in the comments what that looks like, what that's like. If you have content on that, drop a link in the comments. This is a community, okay? I don't want to gatekeep any information, but I'm also not going to speak on something that I'm not well versed in. You definitely want to open your file, open escrow. Now, opening a file can simply mean saving a folder on your desktop for you to house all the documents and the correspondence in one place, one central location. It could also mean emailing, calling. I prefer everything in writing, so emailing escrow to let them know, hey, we have a buyer, we're in contract, here's the ratified purchase agreement, and any accompanying documents, perhaps maybe a proof of funds, pre-approval letter, anything that escrow might need to move forward in the transaction. Then once you've done that, you want to create your file either on your desktop. I personally recommend a cloud system like OneDrive, Google Drive, Dropbox, so that way you can access documents everywhere, no matter where you're at, and you're not bound to one location, such as your desk, just in case you're out and about, you're working remotely, you're working on vacation, maybe you have a doctor's appointment, or so you have to drop someone else off at school, or whatever the case may be, and you decide you don't want to work at your desk. Having a cloud system allows you that location independence, that flexibility. But those are two ways that you can open a file and open escrow, is just simply communication and file management. And then if your broker uses SkySlope or Dotloop, or maybe they've created their own app where they manage the transaction there for their brokerage specifically in their compliance department, then you want to open a transaction there. Simply just saying create a file or create new transaction. Whatever the terminology is on that website, all of the features are the same. They might just have a different name. So Dotloop and SkySlope are pretty much the same exact thing. Okay, guys? It's not rocket science over here. So after you've set up your files and all parties have been notified, then you can start doing your audits, and then you can start emailing parties individually. You're going to email escrow, you're going to email the other agent. So if you're on the buyer side, you're going to contact the listing agent and their TC or any team members. If you're working with an escrow company, you want to send upfront terms, which for every transaction, I send upfront terms. I email them because you want to have a breakdown of all the terms, as well as any outstanding invoices, credits, reimbursements that need to be taken care of before we close escrow. This can also include the purchase price, commission percentage to each brokerage, and as I mentioned before, any outstanding payments that need to be paid at close of escrow. Sometimes even if a seller has a lien on their property, they may use the funds from closing to pay for said lien. So the upfront terms helps communicate between you and escrow anything that might be outstanding to be taken care of at close of escrow. And within this email, you can also request a preliminary title report, the estimated deposit receipt, and any pages of the contract that may be required, that may require escrow to sign. For instance, in California, escrow is required to sign the last page of the California Association of Realtors contract, the CAR contract. But since I'm in San Francisco, we use our own contract, the SFAR contract, which does not require escrow to sign. So just know the difference between contracts wherever you're at if you have multiple, and just use the one that is correct and make sure all parties have signed it for it to be fully executed. And of course, you don't want to leave off the close of escrow date. The close of escrow date is very important. Of course, that might change, but if you establish a timeline, everyone can be on the same page. Before we close, I know we're talking about the first 24 hours of a transaction, but before you close, around 7 to 10 days prior to close of escrow, you will update these upfront terms and call them final terms, because now maybe something has been paid for, the credit has been changed, or maybe more invoices and receipts need to be paid out of escrow. So this is your opportunity before we close to update this email with any outstanding balances or due dates, or maybe a close of escrow date has changed. So all parties can be notified. So going back to the first 24 hours, as you see, you're doing a lot of communication. You're doing a lot of back and forth. That's normal. But the point is to establish yourself in this space and introducing yourself to parties and requesting certain items from each individual party, so you can have a paper trail of said requests, but also follow up in that email thread just in case they don't contact you back or you don't hear from them. You have proof. You have a paper trail of emails and email threads saying, I sent you this on June 1st, 2026. I sent you this on July 27th, 2026. You get the idea. So now you want to make sure you have all your disclosures, and if you don't, that's when you can send your request to the other side, the other agents and or their TC and team, while also including your realtor in all correspondence and compliance in all correspondence as well. So those first 24 hours are very crucial to setting up yourself for success, to managing timelines and due dates, as well as knowing who your contacts and each player is in this transaction, because it's going to vary from transaction to transaction. Every property, every deal is unique in itself. No two transactions are ever exactly alike, even if they're neighboring homes. So it's up to you to have an organized system, but it's also just as important to put the effort and take initiative in order to obtain said information, documentations, paperwork, so compliance can be satisfied and the file gets cleared and everyone gets paid. That is why the first 24 hours are crucial in a real estate transaction, because there are a lot of moving parts and a lot of setting up and getting things situated. But once you do, future you will thank you, because then you're no longer scrambling, looking for documents on this website or on that email thread, you'll have your own email threads to send to the listing agent and their team, escrow and their team, the lender and their team, as well as your main, I call it the group chat, where you've introduced yourself to everyone as well, where you break down the timeline and the dates and introduce yourself. Unless your realtor initiates that for you, at least you know you have those threads available to you. Like, oh yeah, what was the buyer's agent's transaction coordinator's name? Let me go to that email where I sent the timeline so I can get their information. Oh, what was the purchase price? Boom, it's in this email. You just want to decrease the amount of places you have to visit as possible, so you're not wasting time. Efficiency is key, effort is key, initiative is key, and closing escrow is key as well. So let me know if this resonates with you, if this helps you. I'm going to continue this dialogue in the live Q&A on Patreon. So if you haven't joined the community, what are you doing? Please, there's almost 100 of us in there. We meet on a weekly basis. I do a live Q&A based on the topic that we've discussed here on these vlogs. And it's your opportunity to ask me questions about real estate, business, mindset, of course, transaction coordination, mental health, physical health, because all of that is important, especially when you're self-employed. You are in charge of you. And if you don't have a solid, strong foundation to hold you down when things are up and when things are down, it's going to be a very difficult journey for you to maintain this lifestyle. I'm going on 9 years of being self-employed next year, which is a blessing in itself that I've even made it this far. So me giving back is sharing what has worked for me and many others I've coached or worked with or spoken to, interviewed. So stay tuned. More information to come. If you haven't joined the community already, please join the community. I'm going to also put a QR code here. So if you're watching this on the TV, then you can scan it with your phone. Easy, quick access, no excuses, as well as in the information box below. All of the information will be there for you to quickly access, or you can visit my website, transactioncare.com. It's that simple. All of it lives there. I would love to have you in my email list. Join the community. Schedule a one-on-one with me as well if you want to learn more about myself, my services, my coaching program. It's there, it's available. I'm going to share some success stories from my clients that I've been working with over the past year. I'm just so grateful. I'm proud of them, but I'm open and just eager to serve and give back and help others that are coming up behind me, because I understand the struggle. I understand this world is not easy to break into, but a lot of it requires the power and the strength within you to show up, to fail, to fall, to climb, to rise. So I'm here to support you. I'm on your side. I'm in your corner. And if you have any questions, just visit transactioncare.com. All of it lives there. And if you made it this far, I want you to comment a t-shirt emoji or a shirt emoji. Why? Because Transaction Care t-shirts are back. I put them back on for sale. And I'm going to put some photos here because I want to make sure it's clear. But the back of the shirt says care for yourself, care for your wealth. They are on sale. I found 14 shirts exactly in my archives that did not sell when I first put them on the market almost 5 years ago. So these are considered throwbacks, but if you want to wear your care, if you want to support the movement, this is the best way to do so. I truly, truly appreciate you. That's it. There will be no more shirts after that, because this is the only version of this that exists. So if you have one of these, you're going to be a part of an elite club of people, because not many people have them. I didn't press that many. So if you want to purchase one, visit my website, transactioncare.com, and just click on TC Shop, and it'll send you over to the site directly to purchase one. And yeah, thank you again for all of your support. Weekly vlogs, weekly live Q&As within the community. And join my newsletter. It goes out every Thursday. So Tuesdays and Thursdays, I'm taking over. Let me know what kind of content and topics you want me to discuss moving forward. If you want me to bring back interviews or podcast style content, let me know. But for now, make sure you're subscribed, leave a comment, say hello, introduce yourself. And until the next video, my name is Lillian Hernandez, but you can call me Lily. And this is Transaction Care. Care for yourself, care for your wealth. Your time is worth it. Let's coordinate. Talk soon. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure you double tap my smiley face to subscribe and click on one of these boxes here to continue watching